So, hi guys, welcome back to our mental health series. So if you haven't watched part 1 or part A, kindly go back and have a look, and it was an overview, an intro on what exactly mental health is and mental health problems. So this is part 2 or part B, and we are going to be tackling the issues around the relationship between unmanaged stress and mental health. What exactly is mental illness and risk factors and triggers? So let's get to it. Tecla, Daktari, what is the relationship between unmanaged stress and mental health?
Stress hormones can have a way of affecting the way your brain works. So those are some of the ways in which it can affect your memory. When you're stressed, there are chemicals produced which can affect your memory. It can also affect emotional regulation. When you're experiencing chronic stress, and I didn't even say what chronic stress is. So chronic stress is where you've been in a period of stress, elevated stress, or rather high levels of stress for a prolonged period of time. So when you're experiencing stress, there are certain chemicals that are produced in your body just to help you respond, your immediate response. But when now we are talking about chronic stress, we are talking about situations where you've been experiencing acute stress over and over again. Acute stress is your immediate response to uncertainty or conditions or difficulties, things that you experience unexpectedly. So your immediate response is what we call acute stress.
Wow.
So when we're talking of chronic stress, is when you've been experiencing the situations that causes you to be on, we call it threat, like threats, always on threat. And at that moment you're either fighting or flying or freezing, depending. So when you're experiencing stress for prolonged period of time, there are certain chemicals which now can affect your memory or even your regulation of emotions. And sometimes you'll find that these chemicals has a way of affecting how your brain works. And so that's how acute stress, then chronic stress relates to now, can lead to mental health illnesses.
Wow.
Yeah, because of the chemicals produced in affecting certain areas of your brain, which now can lead to illnesses.
Wow.
In how your brain works. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting, guys. I hope you've heard. So we move on to the next one. What is mental illness?
So when we talk about mental illness, mental disorders are a range of conditions that negatively affect how your mood is, how you think, and how you behave. So when we talk about mood, this could be maybe when you're feeling low. So that means situations where you're not active, like you'd maybe probably sleep longer or not even sleep at all. It could be how you're feeling, you're feeling sad, or you're feeling angry, or you're feeling agitated, irritable. It could be maybe when it could be seen in behavior. For example, if someone, a loved one, just came and broke things in the house, maladaptive behaviors. These are behaviors that are not expected. Maybe you're driving and hitting someone's car intentionally. Those are some behaviors we can see for someone who's struggling with
mental illness.
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. So I hope you've heard, guys. So we're going to move on to what we call risk factors and triggers. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have heard about them. So Daktari, enlighten us.
So when we talk about risk factors, among the risk factors that someone are already identified, we have genes. So mental health is a polygenic. It depends on many hundreds of genes acting together. So that's now the aspect where we talk about genes. So mental health illnesses, you'll find often runs in a family.
Okay.
So For example, schizophrenia, it runs in a family. Maybe your grandfather had schizophrenia, and then the grandchild will have schizophrenia because it runs in the family. Just like hypertension runs in the family.
So they are more prone to get it?
They're prone. Like that, people with that gene are likely to get the mental illness. Another thing will be environment, where there are external factors to the person and how that person is able to relate with what is happening and how they perceive the world and how that experience affects them as a person and how it affects their functionality. So external factors to the person, like maybe growing up in a toxic home. Toxic environment. Where there is maybe gender-based violence. Or maybe growing up in a family where there is poverty. You know, your needs are you're not able to meet your needs, and of course that is a degree of stress that can lead now to mental health issues, or even functioning in places where externally there are certain things like maybe natural disasters that can affect how a person functions later on in life. There are also factors like stress, life events, loss of loved ones. Those are things that can affect someone's mental health. Early childhood trauma experiences, adverse childhood experiences for a child. Maybe a physical condition, when someone in your family is diagnosed with a terminal illness. If you're the child in that family, how will that affect your mental illness? Living arrangements. For example, now we are having situations where let's say couples are separating or divorcing, and then the child has to live in different homes. How does that affect their mental health? Household income, where there is poverty, there is uncertainty. You don't know if you have a home or you don't have a home. So how are some of those things affecting mental health? Emotional abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, be it at work or at home. Those are some things that can affect mental health.
Wow, amazing. That was amazing. So I guess that is where we close it for part 2 or part B. So again, be sure to check out part 1 and watch out for part 3 as we continue to talk about mental health and just to enlighten ourselves more on mental health. And in case of any questions, be sure to email us at the email on our channels or social media handles description. You'll see it there. So thank you very much and see you in the next one. Cheers.
See you.